Hello everybody, this is Fernando for the latest Cryptids of the Week video. I thought I would mix one of these in while I'm continuing to do my Mysteries and Oddities videos. Yet again, this comes from another random page associated with the cryptids.wikia.com, and this time it's a nice little creature that has another mishmash of common animals, it seems. Just like I've talked about in some of my past videos, there's just these unique creatures, these unique cryptids, where if you were to take various animals, mix them all together in a stew, and then spill it out, this is essentially what it would come out. So this is a creature that apparently has characteristics of a cat, and then also an alligator, and then also a fish. And then just to mix things in, at least based on its appearance, it looks like it has more of a dragon-like appearance too. So very unique creature. Interesting to find this within the random page. And you're looking at it now. It's known as the Orobon. So let's go ahead and let's talk about all the fascinating info associated with this hybrid creature. So what is this Orobon? Well, it's a creature that has been around for a long time. In fact, several centuries to be specific. In fact, you can go back to the 1500s to go to a book that's called the Cosmography. It was written by a guy named Guillaume Chardier, and in it he stated, and again the specific date was 1575, he described this creature in its details. So whether it's been around since that time period, all these years afterward, or maybe it was just existing then, who knows, but it's definitely had a long history. And then you find it at a very particular spot. Now, I tried to find out where this was. It's known as Mount Marzouan, but I can't seem to find this location. It used to apparently be called Mount Orobon, hence the name of this creature being the Orobon. Much like some of the other cryptids, again, I've talked about in the past, where based on its location, that denotes its name. Same thing here. So all I see is though just a map that showcases where it could be located. If someone knows where Mount Marzouan is, please post those in the comments below. But anyways, at this location, there's some waters that are isolated there. And within those waters, that's where this creature is. Let's talk about how it looks as well, because that is definitely its most extreme characteristic. So this is a creature that's not too small, but not too large. We're not talking about something that's like, let's say, a Loch Ness size, but it definitely has its size too. It's about 9 to 10 feet long, just about the size of a crocodile, if you will. And then this creature has this thick armor plating on it. Again, very reminiscent of a crocodile, although it's not supposed to be as tough as a crocodile. I guess you could consider it more malleable, more soft than the thick, like say, rock hard hide of a crocodile. And then its face, that's where it gets its noted feline look, its feline appearance. Close-ups of it look like you have the nose of a cat, the whiskers of a cat, those lips of a cat. You know how cats always have that unique look where when they have their mouth closed, it looks like they're always smiling. That's what it looks like this thing has as well. And then the rest of its body takes an even more unique look too. So it has these legs that look just almost like a crocodile, and then it has these web-like feet associated with it too. The rest of its body is long and again scaly. And the reason I mentioned it looked sometimes like a dragon was because there has this thick ridge, these humps that come across its back. And in some cases it has these large spikes that also come towards the top back of it as well. And then finally it ends with what looks like a large tail, almost like a mermaid-like tail. No doubt using it to be able to whip itself quite quickly within those waters. So quite a unique creature, no. You pretty much have everything and the kitchen sink when it comes to its appearance. Very unique too that it's found there in the desert-like area. Well, who knows? Again, I don't know exactly where this Mount Marzouan, but considering that it's close to there in the Middle East, it's got to be hot. It's got to be dry, and so for it to be located in that isolated area, specifically in those pockets of water, it's amazing that nature or whatever would create this look for this creature. But yes, indeed, it's been there for that long time. It's been hunted, in fact, by some of the locals, by some of the Arabs there. Apparently, though, it's not something that's eaten because it has a particular foul taste. Some people eat it still, probably out of necessity, something like that. Otherwise, it's not something that's preferred. Other wildlife is much more preferred than to this creature. Some people apparently eat it too, as a way of, I guess, good luck. Like they mix in some other items there too, including some gold dust. Maybe it's a good sign to find something this rare and to eat it and then to try to get some good fortune from it. Otherwise, though, this creature doesn't seem to attack any of the locals. It doesn't seem to have any harmful, dangerous habits to it. Other than this, it's apparently very, very protective of its environment, so much so that it'll attack anything that approaches it, especially if it involves other fish. So it kind of makes sense. This thing wants to be isolated. It wants to stay away from everyone, especially considering how little is known of its encounters. I was trying to find if there's anything as far as, let's say, some people running into it, tales that might have lasted the timeline of years to this day of people of having let's say a brief encounter, but no, nothing along those lines. So it definitely wants to stay isolated, and so when it comes across anything else, you better believe that it's going to be very ferocious to try to protect its nature. So very interesting stuff when it comes to that. And then also, as far as its misinterpretations, there are these ideas, and they make sense. Again, this is a creature that is a mishmash of various other animals. So why not have it be actually misinterpreted from those very animals too? And this one makes the most sense of all. So I think, and this is my own opinion, let's see if you agree. I think this might be a creature that might be misinterpreted for crocodiles. So imagine if you're out there in that area, you know how mirages can create a different perception of things. Well, imagine seeing this in the distance. It looks like something, and especially when it's wading in and out of the water, it looks like something else, but it could have been actually misinterpreted from crocodiles. The only reason I don't accept that 100% is the fact of the face. When you have a feline face, that looks far different than anything resembling a crocodile. You just can't mix up the two, no matter how much of let's say a misinterpretation or a mirage you're looking at. No, when you have a feline face with that short stubby nose and then the feline lips, that is far different than anything resembling the long snout of a crocodile, especially the teeth, the horizontal, the thinness of it. There's just no way that you'll be misinterpreting it. But that seems to be the most common perception, is that it may have been something where people instead saw crocodiles. Kind of believe it, but it would be stretching it if I would say, like, let's say yes, it could be it, but no, I think it's more along the lines of something else. Also, there's this idea that it's more of a lizard, something like a long lizard, like what's the word I'm looking for? Komodo dragon, something like those, where it somehow made its way towards this area. Who knows? In the past couple of centuries, there could have been some within that location. But yes, that people saw this thing, and then realizing and thinking, what is this very unique creature, especially since this is something that shouldn't be there. They in turn started speculating, and you know how it goes. These tails start growing out longer and longer, getting more different than the previous tail, and then it comes up with this uniqueness when it comes to this Orobon, especially seeing something like that shouldn't be there at the very beginning. But that's another interesting notion when it comes to what people think this is, that it could have been some long lost, in this case, lizard that just happened to wade through that area and then was able to be misinterpreted and then eventually became this Orobon. One last thing to note regarding this creature: which also ties into its feline appearance. If you want to know the sound that it actually makes sounds like a cat. So that's interesting too. Imagine you're out there in the desert, you're out there in that location, and then you start hearing a cat, like the meow of a cat, the growl of a cat, maybe even the purring of a cat. But yes, it makes those specific sounds just like a cat itself. So very, very fascinating stuff. Who knew that when you have a creature with all these different mixtures, that it would create this specific sound? Now, whether when it makes it, it shows that it's in a pleasurable mood, like let's say it's in a happy mood, that's a whole other thing to debate. But otherwise, that is another bit of info for this creature. But that's pretty much it. If anyone else has any more info, anything else I might have missed, please let me know. This Orobon, wherever it's located, maybe we'll be lucky one day and we'll get to see its existence yet again. But it's been pretty reclusive since its first known sightings a couple of centuries back. Not much known or no else has been described of people encountering it. So, all right, everybody. Thanks again as always. Take care.